Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Malacañang press briefing. To speak is the Assistant Secretary of the Presidential Communications Office for Legal Affairs, ASEC Marie Rafael Banaag.
Good morning, Sweden. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. May I state it clear that I would only entertain 1 to 3 questions in case there are clarifications pertaining to the guidelines or Memorandum 03 that would be read. Office of the President of the Philippines, Malacañang, Memorandum Order Number 03, providing guidelines for the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police in the implementation of measures to suppress and prevent lawless violence. Whereas on 4 September 2016, President Rodrigo Roa Duterte promulgated Proclamation Number 55 declaring a state of national emergency on account of lawless violence in Mindanao and calling out the armed forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police to undertake all necessary measures to suppress and all forms of lawless violence in Mindanao and prevent the spread and escalation thereof elsewhere in the country. Whereas there is a need for an effective and expeditious implementation of the President's directive in order to prevent further loss of innocent lives and destruction of property and bring the whole country back to a state of complete normalcy as quickly as possible. Whereas to ensure respect for and protection of the fundamental civil and political rights of our citizens, there is also a need to define and delimit the measures that the AFP and the PNP can undertake during the state of lawless violence. Whereas Section 27, Chapter 9, Title 3, Book 3 of Executive Order Number 292, otherwise known as the Administrative Code of 1987, empowers the Executive Secretary to implement presidential directives, orders, and decisions. Now, therefore, I, Salvador C. Medialdea, by the authority and order of the President, do hereby promulgate the following directives to be observed during the subsistence of a state of lawless violence. Section 1. National Defense and the Department of Interior and Local Government shall coordinate the immediate deployment of additional forces of the AFP and PNP to suppress lawless violence and acts of terror in Mindanao and prevent such violence from spreading and escalating elsewhere in the country. To the extent possible, the DND and the DILG shall deploy AFP and PNP personnel on major streets and thoroughfares as well as near crowded places such as malls and train stations in order to increase troop and military visibility for deterrence and quick response purposes without causing undue alarm to the general public. Or appropriated for this purpose. Section 3, the Department of Justice shall closely coordinate agencies for the prompt investigation and prosecution of all individuals or groups apprehended for committing or conspiring to commit acts of lawless violence. Section 4, all local government units are ensure the effective implementation of this memorandum order. Section 5, at all times, the constitutional rights of every unless the situation of the following circumstances, among others, when the person to be arrested has committed number 2, when an committed and the arresting officer has personal knowledge of facts indicating that the person to be arrested has committed the offense. who has escaped from a penal establishment or place where he is serving final judgment or temporarily confined while he's 4. When the person arrested or to be arrested has voluntarily waived when the person to be searched has consented to the search or has voluntarily waived his right against warrantless searches and seizures within a permissible area of search. Immigration and Customs laws. 4. Search of automobiles at borders or constructive borders for violation of immigration or smuggling. Sixth, stop and free circumstances. In the case of police or military checkpoints, inspection shall be limited to a request to roll down vehicle windows, search for things in plain view only, and production of identification and vehicle registration papers. No further intrusive action shall be taken, such as demanding the opening of trunks or lids or asking persons on board to step out, unless the subject individual consents or agree thereto. In stop and frisk situations, search shall be limited to light patting of the subject individual to detect the possession of weapons or similar effects. Section 6. Any AFP and PNP personnel found violating any of the foregoing constitutional rights shall be held administratively, civilly, criminally liable therefor. Section 7, and the last, this memorandum order shall take effect immediately. 5 September 2016, by order of the President, signed Salvador C.
Thank you very much, ASEC Banaag. The floor is now open for questions. Leila Salaveria of Philippine Daily Inquirer.
On frisking and checkpoints and instances of warrantless arrest, are these actually newly crafted rules or
of the law of the land.
Zen Hernandez of ABS-CBN.
Yes, we are what checkpoints situations. Can you expound further where this is going to be implemented? Because I believe in malls, they already have personnel. So what kind of situation?
It would be when someone is passing by and a member of the PNP or AFP would ask. And it's simply like that, patting. It's like when you enter a mall, the guards there, it's just, the guidelines are hemmed with lots of restrictions and limitations for the PNP and AFP to do. So it's just simple like that. It's like entering any establishment na they will just pat.
So ma'am, random lang po ba ito? Kasi syempre the question from the public would be, if I'm just walking sa street, may nakasalubong akong PNP or AFP personnel, mararanasan ko ba yon? Nakitang kakaiba
Yes.
or
Also, yes, pag may nakitang kakaiba, ganun siguro. Pwedeng ganun.
alright.
Okay. AC Nichols of CNN Philippines.
Hi, ma'am.
AC.
Follow-up din lang po. Only when there's something lang na may questions on pag pupunta ka doon, you should expect na possible yung mga checkpoints or
Yeah. The government here to suppress any and violence in Mindanao and prevention naman nationwide. So if the question is, do we expect every now and then and there are checkpoints, there may be checkpoints everywhere. And we just have to operate. Yan lang naman. There's not something, it's not really something that's extraordinary.
And ma'am, why was there a need to issue the memorandum order? Was it because there were certain
What the AFP and the PNP may do. So as you can see, we put a premium on civil rights, and we'd like to emphasize that
Okay. Pia Renada of Rappler.
Good morning, As. There's a notion of a level, parang may leveling of the state of emergency. So while the focus is on lawless violence in Mindanao, you want to prevent the there will be more troops in Mindanao and less elsewhere. How will the levels be implemented on the ground?
that perhaps we'd leave it to the Department of National Defense and the AFP to consider, because we could not really,
Nag-concentrate tayo dun, naglabas na ng memorandum circular.